void we know so well. Oh, horror, fantasy, the stories we tell. Sci-fi dreams where the stars collapse. Comic books stacked high in gaps. Mike and Tom, they light the flame. The first, the last, the Nerdom name. Voices sharp like the edge of time. Diving deep in a world sublime.
Welcome back to the First, the Last, the Nerdom, the podcast where we are the first, the last, and everything in between when it comes to the world of nerd culture. And this month, we're jacking into the grid, rewiring our brains, and diving headfirst into chrome-plated dystopias, neon skylines, and questions about what it means to be human, because it's Cyberpunk movie month. And what better way to kick things off than with the 2017 live-action adaptation of a Cyberpunk classic, Ghost in the Shell, starring Scarlett Johansson as Major Mira Killian, a cyber-enhanced super soldier haunted by fragmented memories of a life she's told isn't hers. This version of Ghost in the Shell set out to reimagine the iconic anime and manga for a new generation. With its sleek visuals, philosophical undertones, and controversial casting choices, the film sparked conversation and maybe a few cyber rage threads online. We're breaking it all down. The legacy of the original 1995 anime, the stunning production design, the themes of identity and consciousness, and the elephant in the room, the whitewashing controversy that overshadowed the film's release. Is the 2017 Ghost in the Shell an underrated visual marvel or a synthetic shell lacking the soul of its source? That's what we're here to explore. So plug in, power up, and let's get ghosted. Cyberpunk month begins now on the First, the Last, the Nerdom.
Hey, welcome to Cyberpunk month, Mike.
Hey, good to be here. This is really cool. Like when you came up with the idea for Cyberpunk, I was really stoked, and I was looking forward to it. Not to mention the movies that we have picked out. And we kind of brushed the surface too. We're no stranger to Cyberpunk.
Yeah. You would think we would automatically pick Blade Runner, but we've already covered that and its sequel together. Although we may do like a deeper dive into one or the other maybe later on, but we wanted to tackle this month with some maybe some cyberpunk movies that you've overlooked. Now we wanted to come out with a bang with Ghost in the Shell, but I in my pocket I've got a couple of obscure things that you guys might dig, and then we're the first, the last, the Nerdom. Look for us as FirstLastNerdom and our channel of the same name. And I'm Tom. I'm here with Mike, and this is our little website here. We cover all sorts of things. Last month we covered movies that ended in the world, and it kind of led into this month as well, because the last movie we covered was Ghost World, and now we're going to Ghost in the Shell. Ghost World also starred Scarlett Johansson, and this one stars her as well.
She is a favorite of the First, Last, Nerdom. Yes, she is. I never forget movies that she's in, for sure, for a multitude of reasons, not just because she's a dynamite looking lady.
And another crazy thing that a lot of people will overlook: Ghost World, based on a comic book. Ghost in the Shell, based on a manga or anime that was based on a manga, which is a comic book. So we're continuing our comic book theme too. But we cover all sorts of things. We cover horror movies with Terrifier. You might notice Art hanging out in the background. But we also cover crazy movies, comic books, and actually I started a thing on our shorts. And it seems to be hitting off pretty well. I started picking my pick of the week for the comic book. I go to every Wednesday, go to my local comic book shop, pick up some comic books, and so I'm starting to pick out, a favorite one. And hey, that last one we did got over 1,600 views. So hey, and looks like we picked up some subscribers. And if you are one of those that got picked up from that, then thank you for subscribing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we thank you so much. We do that. And Tom, look for more shorts from Tom. I will also be trying to do some technical wizardry and upping the shorts game, because that's where it's at, and that's where you got to go if you want to drive the numbers. And we definitely, while we do this for fun, we do. What fun is it if we don't get to share this with other people? So that and much more plugging to do here. You True or false, Tom? You head up our Reddit, our
Yes.
Reddit division.
Yes, I do. I find different subreddits that will have us. Tubi's one of my favorites. There is always a Tubi person there. They usually give us a comment or two, and gives us some views. So hey out there, you Tubi guys that showed up and gals. But yeah, I promote on that, and also I promote on X under FirstLastNerdom as well. And yeah, I'll promote our latest videos, and also the stuff that the physical media guy. So the last pickup I got was I'm really into the Apple TV show Slow Horses, and I started the book series that it's based on. I'm about 4 books in. There's 8 published, so about halfway through, and I found out that Mick Herron has done a limited edition signed book, and it's actually pretty cheap. It's not much more than a regular price book, and it's nicely done, very nice. And Amazon was selling it, and so I got it almost within a week from the UK. So great shipping too. The only bad thing is it's Amazon's flimsy, crappy packaging, but even coming from the UK, it came in with no dings or scratches, as it came out very nice. And that sticker on the cover there peeled right off, that little signed by the author. So yeah, everything turned out very nicely. I'm very happy to have that in my collection.
That is a neat show and tell. Very, very cool. Very cool. I might cover the one that I had a little bit earlier in the week, but I was very happy to get it. But as you are on YouTube, I also are on X, Twitter. I am too, ApeIt_Ink, where you'll find me and Tom there. And haven't done it lately, but we do plan on talking a little bit of comic books and Superman here in the not too distant future, because that is getting heated, warmed up for us. I've seen good things. I do, unfortunately, my peaked out meter for Fantastic Four is, I don't know, somewhere a little bit more in the valley and then on the mountain. I'll put it that way. But we'll see. The big blockbusters coming up this summer, not quite like we've had, but you don't know it until it's upon you. So maybe we'll see some great stuff there. Also, I'm a co-host in the morning and the AM and the PM show for America's Talk Show. Shout out to those guys who are very generous, who all plug us and many others. So if you see them, say hi. And I'm also available. My long form content, ApeIt.Ink. And without further ado, Ghost in the Shell. So yeah, so this was based on a 1995 or 97. I can't remember, but
95. Yep.
Yeah, 95 anime movie was very well done and set the standard in a lot of ways, just like Akira did, which we also covered. We're no strangers to anime, although it was newer to us and our repertoire. But there are certain things that you just can't escape from. Now, was I down in the cut knowing all about Ghost in the Shell anime in 95 and the 90s? Hell no. Like, hell no. But I came to know it later, like many people did. And I had never seen this before this week. And I was so glad you picked it, because Scarlett Johansson is a wonder to behold unto herself. Very good actress. We like her from A24 flicks to more indie.
Yeah, she will get under your skin to make a little pun there.
Great.
But yeah, it's great. Yeah, Akira and Ghost in the Shell was a lot of my introduction to cyberpunk, along with Blade Runner. Yeah, Akira was one of those movies that just blew my mind away. And I'd run to my friends like, oh, you have to watch. I got like a bootleg VHS of it, and I was like, watch this thing, and you know, I was converting a lot of people, and Ghost in the Shell was definitely one of those as well. And just kind of explored the whole cyberpunk terrain a little bit more. Of course, I guess my true favorite would always be Akira, but Ghost in the Shell, that anime really solidified in my love for the genre anime in general, but also cyberpunk. This I think Akira kind of hits me with the big ideas, and that's here too. But I think what really captures this movie and the movie the 2017 is the characters. I really enjoy the characters in this movie. Because they have a little bit more personality. I like that Bato, however you pronounce his name. Great character. No, and the anime is also kind of a creature of its time. If I watched it, I rewatched the anime after watching the 2017 version, and the voice acting not as good as it is today. I'll just say that for the American cast.
Yeah,
of,
no,
voice actors.
yeah, I had some history with this too. This is like one of the famous ones that I did end up watch. I did watch it over time. Didn't quite know the relevance of it per se, but I mean, as far as like when I watched it, it was like solo, right? So like you download these things and you watch them in your own time, or try to find it. And it's just one of those things that it's always been a back pocket favorite, I guess. There's so many good cyberpunk, dystopian, and or the future kind of things out there that are related to this. I think I got on a science fiction kick for cyberpunk. So like I rolled through all the William Gibson novels, Neuromancer, and of course some Philip K. Dick ones too, and even some more like lesser known ones like by Frederick Pohl, which is one of my favorite authors that nobody knows who that is, but he did a great number of series, the Gateway series. But anyway, bring it back to center. This has always been a favorite. Of course, cyberpunk is just very cool. A few years ago, around when this came out as well, it was like kind of peak season on the cyberpunk phenomenon, because you had 2049, which came out like not far before this one, if not around
same year.
Yeah.
Same
I
year.
was gonna say even the same year. Yeah, and you also had Cyberpunk 2077, which was very beloved. Very buggy as hell. I think probably the start of the fall of the AAA game.
Yeah, while I was watching the movie, the 2017 Ghost of the Shell, I was thinking, I've played this. I've played this, and I was like, no, yeah, I played Cyberpunk 2077, and you could see the influence of this movie, or at least the whole cyber thing in general, on that game. But yeah, very very much inspired, because it came out in 2020, so they had to have been working on the game and and this movie independently at the time. But yeah, I guess there's that whole osmosis in the field of things. But yeah, it's if you while watching Ghost in the Shell, you get a real itch to go back to play that game.
I absolutely will be scratching that itch, a little bit. I've restarted that game, and it's only gotten better. I'm kind of glad that like I didn't start playing it until it got hammered out or whatever. And they have I think they have an add-on too. I don't know. They got some cool stuff, but either way though, Ghost in the Shell, bring back to this movie.
Forget this movie.
But for the most part, and we'll get into the controversy here, that it was a kind of a shame. I don't think it did. I don't think it did terrible. I don't think it. I think it ultimately did wash out eventually. But
I think it in streaming and physical media,
wasn't a $1 billion blockbuster. It didn't have all the bees that the
it made it costed about 100 million to make, and it worldwide in its box office run it was like 160 million. So with advertising and everything, it probably lost a few shekels in the long run in the release. But I think over time it's kind of paid for itself. It didn't come with. I think it kind of geared up for a sequel that never happened, which is a shame. But wait a couple of minutes and they'll have a they'll have a Ghost in the Shell streaming series or something.
And although this isn't really, I was going to see if it. I didn't mean to do that, but what I was going to say is it does kind of I can't hard for me to claim noir, but you know what I mean. It's got every other aspect close to that,
Right.
But I would accept it as a noir. So like that's another reason why I like, because the cyberpunk stuff really isn't that far off from noir. Like there's a mystery, there's a murder, there's something going on, and you're not necessarily going to be seeing the perspective of the hero per se. This one starts out, and you're thrown into this world where it's a world in the not too distant future, and location doesn't really matter. It's just futuristic. I will say it's a lot cleaner. I mean, there's like grit, right? Crime, whatever you want to call it, but like it's pretty damn clean as far as the aesthetic goes. And I love the visuals. Everything, all the CGI and everything worked very well for me and never took away from what I was watching. Perfectly done. I couldn't be happier. Now, did I go see this one? Because I do remember it being out. And I don't know, like with the anime things that are out there, they're out there. But unless it's really exceptional, your anime fan base that is aware of it out there, probably, unless it's like just something amazing, like Disney, like Totoro, kind of like, with that whole, much bigger popular kind of vein. It's not just for adults, it's more for, kids, or orientated toward kids. For whatever reason, this just didn't quite pop, but I do remember some angry, soiled pants, soiled pants, internet things going on when this kind of came out. So if you could kind of give us the top of the head for maybe why this didn't do so well, and then we'll get into the bona fides of the film. But,
I was thinking, the noir, maybe neon noir, but
sure.
No, it's there was a little bit of controversy. I didn't see it in the theater, and maybe because of the whole hullabaloo. Also, there was like there wasn't a big buzz about it. There was a lot of I guess the critics weren't enamored by it, but we got to remember that was 2017, and a lot of people were very hypersensitive about making sure everybody had their safe space, their everybody was respected. There's the Me Too stuff that was going on.
We were also in Resistance 1.0 as well. Like everything was
there was a climate for that, and I think the movie just was if this movie came out today, I don't think there would be as big of a thing, but it's the crazy thing is, like, a lot of anime, the animation for a lot of the characters are kind of ambiguous as far as their race anyway. So they don't traditionally, sometimes they make them very Asian looking, and sometimes, if you look at the character in the actual anime, she's blue-eyed, and she has blue eyes, so very much so. So there was a if you're not aware of it, in 2017 when the movie came out, there was a big controversy about Scarlett Johansson, a white woman playing an Asian character in an Asian movie, and which, it's kind of crazy because it's she's playing a cybernetic, a cyborg that the only human part of her is her brain. So you know, her
really
gen,
matter?
yeah, exactly. Does her does the race of the equipment basically matter? And then if you look, it's a company, at least the portion of it that's runs the computer, the cyborg portion of it are all white people. So maybe it's kind of a maybe a statement within the movie about the company itself, maybe. But turns out the person that we never get introduced to the human person that the
Right.
brain comes from. So we have hints that she was Asian, but yeah, it was a much bigger controversy here in the States as opposed to even in Japan. Japan was very kind of they were like, well, it was it's a Hollywood movie. We expected, it to be, they didn't expect an Asian person to play the characters, and they said it would probably have been a bigger controversy if they had placed a non-Japanese Asian person as as the major, as opposed to
Yeah.
a white person, which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's funny how these things, and now kind of looking back, it's just like, yeah, you guys were all full of shit. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
nobody cares. Like, and typically the Japanese don't care either. Like for
Yep.
the audience, because anime or manga is so specific to that, even to your class, to the kind of type job you have.
Mhm.
Like, if you're a Joe Blow schmo, and you got a hard crack life, I guess, whatever, and you're breaking rock or whatever, they got anime for you too. But this
Oh well, yeah, yeah. And I was going to say that let's see, let me find the
well, yeah, I was just gonna also
go ahead.
comment on the anxiety, I guess, around it is like wasn't
Mhm.
warranted. Like, I mean, it
Mhm.
I mean, you start with a friggin' anime, and it's just
Mhm.
like, you guys like you guys are like I said, I'm more pejorative toward this segment of the audience than not,
Mhm.
because it's just like,
Right.
you have the other thing too that I would say is, like, this was when sex appeal and sexy was on the outs, I would say, more than it was in. And you wouldn't think that, but this one was like, this gave, it was very appealing in certain aspects.
Yeah.
Just like the Alita Battle Angel or whatever, like, I think, which
Yeah.
came out, not
Well,
long after this, but anyway, you were
I
saying.
will say, yeah, I was going to say that, yeah, I would understand if there was kind of some ill intent, sort of a kind of a over kind of blackface kind of thing going on. But this movie was very respectful for the origins of this movie. The anime is very, very inspired by it. There's the story isn't one to one, but there's
Hmm.
very particular action sequences and scenes that the movie is inspired by, that recreate meticulously in live action. There's You can see the love for the original anime, drenched in
It,
every detail of
it
this
did a
movie.
great job.
Yeah,
Like, it
and very
came
much.
it came off as praise more than like a cheap
Yeah.
clone.
Yeah, and they had the original director on set, and I will quote him, Mamoru Ashi. I probably butchered his his name there, but he says, of this of the assumed. Let's see, Ashi told IGN that the major uses as an assumed body and name. So there is no basis for saying that an Asian actress must portray her. I can only sense a political motive from the people opposing it, and I believe artistic expression must be free from politics. So, amen, brother. I appreciate that. And he said
Oh,
that
yeah.
Johansson was, probably the best actress to portray her. Also, these these movies cost a little bit of money, and they one of the things that they try to ensure that the movie does well is hire a big name actress, and who's bigger at the time. Actually, they were going to get Margot Robbie, which I think it would have been a crazy different movie if she was in it.
Yeah.
Much more of sex appeal probably, but yeah, I think the better choice was Scarlett Johansson, and pays off in this movie.
Well, you're introduced to this world, the world building. I'm always a sucker for, right? So like it's kind of like how they do. It's like San Fran, Tokyo. I mean, it's like futuristic world. The place setting doesn't matter too much. It's a big city. It's the future, and it works very, very well. Looking back at this should have made like 10 times more much like money. And it just maybe the timing, it just wasn't quite.
I think it was. I think it was a victim of bad press. Like I said, a lot of. So yeah, the whole tone. I would have loved to have seen this in the theater. However, I will say I did get the 4K, which I watched again on my viewing this time. But this was my first 4K that I got and watched. This was the first 4K I saw on my new 4K TV. So very. I was very impressed with it the first time I saw it visually, and this time as well. But yeah, this is kind of a bare bones one from Paramount. So it doesn't have any commentary, as a 30-minute kind of making of, and then a couple of more 10-minute things. But if you're trying to get some extras, it's probably not the best thing. But as far as a quality 4K of the movie, there you go. It's worth every penny for that, and you probably can get it pretty cheap now. Older 4Ks are usually, you could get those on sale pretty cheap. But yeah, visually, that was another thing that impressed me the first time I saw it, and this time I saw it. Just a beautiful looking movie.
Spectacular, really.
Yeah, and a lot of times with those Marvel movies, I always rag on the Marvel movies, but they look like CG fest. They don't look. They're okay for what they are, but yeah, visually this looked like it had a lot of practical. If it didn't, then it just looks like it. Everything looks kind of real to me. Even those those beautiful Blade Runner 2049 did it as well. Those big animated billboards, like with the fish swimming down the street. Just look. There was like a kind of a chaos to it, but it's kind of information overload. But that was its intent. That the walking, the daily life of these people are just as active and as kinetic as what they're seeing on their phones. So that everything is sort of they don't look like they're looking at phones anymore. They're just looking at life now.
Yeah, I really wish I would have paid more attention to this, because this is like this became the fast lane to one of my favorite movies. For like what you get so much, and there's just again, there's just so much depth, and I can't help but think that maybe she was a little bit prepared for some of this a little bit from doing Under the Skin a little bit, because like I would not a Margot Robbie. I'm not saying she couldn't have done it, but it would have been a completely different movie. And the car, from the cars to the aesthetic to the guns to the tech, they nailed everything. I mean, they nailed, like, there's that gear, that nerd gear porn, that you have a pretty face obviously too, but like you want the Star Trek nerds to show up, the them kind of nerds like me. I'm that kind of nerd, and it worked out so well. It just makes you want to go play Cyberpunk, really, which is a very good game, but it also pulls you into that world too. But I was pulled on. I think it does meander a little bit at certain points, like maybe it could have been a little bit more clipped, a little bit more short to the point. But for what you get, though, It's very high quality, and I'm surprised. I remember seeing it coming out. I remember hearing a little bit of the thing. I didn't really care about that, but I was in another dimension back then. Like it just didn't quite get it, but it was a treat to watch on the big screen at home. Like
Yeah.
so that's
I think
I shared
I think
enjoyment and pleasure for your new TV. So congrats.
absolutely. Yeah, it was like one of those things where I was kind of tempted to see it, but the one of the things that kind of held me back was there's a kind of a stigma about making a live action movie off of an anime, a classic anime. The anime, why remake a classic is probably a good way of putting it. And also, can a live action really live up to the kinetic energy of an anime, which this movie kind of proves that
so.
it can be done. They've always been threatening a live action Akira, and after this movie, I could see where they could do it. But yeah, if done right, there's Netflix has tried some live action animated shows based off of animated series, and with kind of mixed results. But so yeah, I think that those kind of bad adaptions kind of made me worried about it. Plus the bad press and the lukewarm reviews sort of kind of kept me away. But yeah, I was looking for a nice looking 4K to watch on my new TV, and so I just happened to pick that up, and was very pleasantly surprised. I was expecting to maybe like the movie, but and ended up loving it. So, so that's it's one of those movies that I just want to live in that world. It's
Yep.
so appealing and just fun to look at. It's like like the Cyberpunk game. You just want to live in that game. So and this movie is only an hour and I think 47 minutes long. It's not a bloated 2+ hour movie. And so it's actually over before I'm ready to say goodbye to it. And there's not like it's not like a huge action movie. I was thinking back on it. There's a few choice set pieces of action that are very enjoyable, but they're not like over the top. Oh my god kind of thing. It's a much more understated movie. It's like you said, it's a more of a kind of a noir piece where a lot of it's kind of what they're thinking and the bigger ideas that are at play here.
Well, it's RoboCop. I mean, it's Japanese RoboCop. I mean, the difference is that RoboCop is very blunt and brutal and direct, and this is more same future, right? Dystopian, whatever, even worse future, arguably.
Yeah,
Much
evil company, yeah,
pretty,
with bad intentions.
None of that. That this was like more of a like a clean whistle blow, and it nailed it. I was very happy. I highly recommend this. I don't know why you would ever have a problem if you were coming from the anime. Like I get it if you're like a die in the wool, whatever, but at the same time, she looked white. I mean, the whole point is it's introducing, and maybe I'm more free flowing with this because of the way where I'm coming from sci-fi novels, like where this whole thing about mind, like friggin' space travel is like this, essentially. Like you essentially inhabit another body on another planet. Like if you want to go anywhere, like we don't physically travel anywhere. Like, so these kind of concepts make perfect sense. Like they're just like, they're cracking the egg on the basics, like, I mean, maybe a little bit more. It did remind me of another film. I hesitate to mention it. I think you know where I'm going with it. It was quite a bit dirtier than another movie that's a favorite that I brought up many times, that we will probably end up covering this month. But I don't want to mention it. So I'll leave it there. You know what I'm talking about, though, right? A comic book based, classic thing. Not the Stallone one. Good one.
Yeah.
Anyway. But this was a treat, and it just makes me want to watch it again. Like, that and then like kind of gets me even more so in the mode of like, I'm so glad that there's manga out there and there's books there. This Cyberpunk is very well covered depending upon if you want clean or dirty or somewhere in the mix. But like it handles the elements just nonchalantly, just matter of fact. Like they're in a room in one of the early scenes of the movie where they're kind of doing a debrief or whatever for the mission or whatever the hell, blah blah blah. And there's that's the A plot, and the B plot is recognizing we have it's an introduction of the audience to the humans, right? There's humans and they're augmented, right? And then there's this creature here, which is not a robot. So these people, you're either robot, you're AI or robot, or or that's implied. I mean, then it really they implied it very heavily. But in this world, you have that. This is what I love about the world building. And then you have this in between, and apparently she's the first of a kind to do that. So it plays out very well. I could not ask anything more from Scarlett Johansson. Maybe weaknesses would be in the people around her. Maybe, I don't know. So some of the human contact kind of thing, like, was like, I didn't quite. I think maybe it could have been done, but for the I mean, you can't really fault for what's going on, but the VFX, it's an A in my opinion.
And then I was going to say, great actors outside Scarlett Johansson, who did a great job. Beat Takeshi, who plays the head of the chief guy there in command of these troops. He's a badass altogether.
Oh yeah, loved it.
I loved his hair. Kind of inspired by the character in the comic book, although the cartoon anime, but that character is bald in the anime. But but yeah, I loved his hair. But yeah, Michael Pitt as Kuzi, which is the bad cyborg. He did a decent job. And then in the Kiefer Sutherland role, Pilou Asbæk as Bato, he had very much Kiefer Sutherland vibes to him. I think if this movie had been filmed a decade earlier, Kiefer would have played that character, I believe.
No, I would agree with you. Yeah. No, it worked very well for the actors and actresses that did show up. Like I said, I think it kind of went rambling a little bit longer. But
I didn't see that. But hey,
just from like maybe a little bit moment too long here or there. But that's nitpicking. I mean, like, if you're at that point, you're already like in love with the film. It was hard for me to find those, but like the thing I loved the most about this was I loved the director, and I did catch a couple of interviews on the side, like with Scarlett and the director or whatever. But the director was like, look, maybe there is a sequel there, but we kind of covered everything, and like maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but like I was satisfied with this movie is what I'm saying. Like, I didn't feel like, although I would like the selfish part of me, like the smaller part of me would want to see more of this. Like, I'm so glad that they haven't, because I think it serves it well for what you get, because you do want more. And I don't agree with the 6.3 rating at all. Like, it's way above average for me. I mean, maybe it falls back to average in some categories that we don't cover, but it's not. I think there's more that rises than falls. I'll put it that way.
Right. One of the, I guess, major differences between the anime and this movie is that the character of the Major, outside putting the whole race thing to the side, but the character themselves, the Major in the anime, is much more lively, much more kind of a one-liner kind of character that was rough and ready with the boys. She could hold her own. She was amongst them, joking around and stuff. and had much more of a lively persona. Whereas in this, Scarlett Johansson plays as written, a much more darker, more subdued, sort of a character that finds herself alone in this world, and because she's the only one that's completely cybernetic except for the brain.
Right.
She's like the future. They keep saying she's the future, and she goes, but why do I feel so alone? And there's this sense of not belonging to the world, and she plays it a very subdued, like you were saying, kind of also kind of a play on her character in Under the Skin, much more, a lot of what's going on inside the head. You're left
That
with
was even more
speculating.
stripped down, and she had
Yeah,
virtually no dialogue whatsoever.
absolutely. So this movie, I can see where the general audience was kind of put off by that. You know, the audience are probably expecting a much more of an action movie where she is sort of running around kicking ass, where she is kicking ass, but she's doing it in a more speculative, kind of self-introspective kind of way that the body audience that were wanting maybe a big loud Marvel movie isn't getting in this.
Yeah, and the anime wasn't like that either. I mean, it wasn't. It had its moments of this and that. Like I said, I think this live action nailed the technicals even better than the anime did. I mean, and the anime was perfect. Like, I mean, the spider tank, the standoffs, the shootouts that you do get are very believable. I mean, maybe there's a pinch here or there, but it's.
Yeah, it's interesting how they like even there's that boat scene where she's on the run in this movie, where they where they have her and Batu have a very kind of a close kind of conversation between friends,
Right.
moment, and then in the anime there's a
Humanity
similar
comes out, right.
there's a similar scene where she isn't on the run, they're just hanging out on the boat having a beer, and while when she took a dip and everything. But the scenes are kind of like I was saying earlier, meticulously kind of based off of the original, and I liked how they kind of played and rearranged that to get kind of the sense, but to put forth that relationship that they had, but in a different context. Whereas there's a kind of a tension because she's on the run, whereas the other one's sort of laid back, but they kind of it's in benefit to progress the relationship between the two of them, which was really really interesting. This would be a really good case study of taking elements from one movie and rearranging them and putting them together for a different story altogether in this, but also be kind of a kind of a remake of it. It's a very very interesting how that's done, and I think if it was a 1-to-1, it might not have done as well. But the fact that it kind of broadens the movie, the movie kind of broadens because the anime is only an hour and 20 minutes long, so there's not a lot of meat on the bone on that, and a lot of that's the opening credits and the end credits are kind of long on that. So it's probably more or less a hour and 10-minute movie. So not, like I said, not a lot of meat on the bone to make a 1-to-1 movie. So they really did have to kind of flesh it out. And then there is, I will say, those people that are screaming at their screens, we are aware, or at least I am, that there's a sequel, and then there's also a couple of animated series.
Prologue, right?
Yeah, I have seen the sequel. It's been about 20 years, so I don't really remember it very well. Didn't really remember the anime that well. That's why I had to rewatch it,
right?
To have any kind of authority on it. And I did watch. I believe I saw the all of the first anime series that was came out in the 2000s,
right?
And then I believe there's a subsequent maybe one or two more series. I haven't seen those, which I wouldn't be adverse to seeing those.
Sure.
I did enjoy the series, but it's kind of a diminishing returns. You had the big impact on the first movie. I don't really remember much of the second, if at all. And the series, I kind of remember it just being okay. It was kind of a fun watch, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my opinion on it would be today if I rewatched it.
Yeah, I think the original anime's philosophical complexity, about what is human, what is consciousness, what is identity. I don't think it's fair to say that it gets reduced down to just a revenge plot with this one. I do think that you kind of have to look with an extra eye, maybe, for that and be accepting of it. But I mean, what do you expect from I think that Altered Carbon, the first season, kind of displayed the difference between, that's a classic Neuromancer kind of throwback for that all that was on Netflix, which is friggin' great as far as things go, for the series that we're going to be covering this month. But I think it does a better job of that, but it has more airtime, right? You can't paint every corner as you want it to be painted. I do think that it wasn't as impactful but I mean, for crying out loud, you had the exposition between her and the wise guy, like the whatever, the boss or whatever, before they burn down. It's kind of like a mentor. You kind of get that from these people, that they are a tight knit team of people that do like and respect each other, and that goes a long way. And if you don't pay attention to that, that's not the fault of the director or the actors. That's with the audience. So I guess I would blame the audience for this one a little bit, for not seeing what you had when it was on the screen. So again, sadly, some of the really, really good sci-fi movies that this one is obviously one, just get kind of rolled over for whatever reason, it is what it is. But like, I didn't find fault with any of the acting. I was satisfied with it. Like I said, it does kind of go long a little bit, but for me in some parts, but not that's nitpicking, could this have been in, an hour and 30 minutes? Sure. Would I want to see that one? Probably not, like, although, Ghost in the Shell, I do think that they kind of went a little bit long in some of the elongating of it a little bit, but nothing to distract from the overall quality. I was happy with what I got. Like, I'm just surprised that it didn't do better, but it is what it is. So, and some movies, the timing is just off, but I can absolutely see where the opinion will get softer as time goes on and people will find favor with this. You can't help but find favor. I mean, it doesn't copy anything that it isn't already, which Ghost in the Shell, the anime version, did very well anyway, which predated quite a bit of things too, by the way. But it's kind of like Dune. It's kind of like, I guess you got to like look for your right. I gotta say they nailed it on the first try. Like, I mean, do you have any other criticisms with it aside from, I just don't see the ridiculousness of. I won't even entertain the periphery of the film and why what I don't really care about that. Like, like you already.
Now there's a few moments where maybe the thought or the idea is kind of muddled, that they could kind of clarify a little bit, but yeah, overall I enjoyed the movie. Like I said, a lot of these futuristic movies, sci-fi movies especially, get very not in theme but dark, as in visuals. Everything's like dull and gray and ugly looking. There's certain movies that it benefits from that, but you get kind of sick of that. And this movie is bright without being bright. It's a dark movie. There's a dark tone to it, but there's these brilliant flashes of lights and neon, and just really really kind of a feast for the eyes. And I think some people may be kind of overwhelmed and don't like how cluttered some of the scenes are, but I think it's more engaging. Also, I will say, I was reading how the director of the anime loves basset hounds, and as I was watching the anime, there's basset hounds all through that movie, and there is a basset hound in this movie, which that director Ashi wanted it to be his own dog in it, but when he went to visit the set, he wasn't able to, because of, I guess, he didn't have the paperwork. They were filming in New Zealand. Didn't have the paperwork to bring his dog, so unfortunately, it's not the director's Ashi's dog, but there is a basset hound in this movie, and he tries to have basset hounds in all of his anime. So shout out to those basset hound lovers out there.
Yeah, no, they did that very well. That was just an extra human. Yeah, I agree with you. The parts that didn't work for me still work for me. I mean, like I said, it's maybe a little bit too long for what it was showing. But again, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you still get you get a very satisfying conclusion. I don't know that you could tweak, the anime character any more than you did with Johansson. Like I really think that this was incumbent upon who came to play it. But for all I know, Margot Robbie would be a better pick. I have no idea, but for the most part, I think this works. I mean, I can see like there are some weaknesses there for it, but it's kind of hard to not already be a fan coming in for Cyberpunk, this or that, like
Right.
and
Well,
be rewarded with what you're given. Ultimately.
well, both with sci-fi and horror, they, even if they don't come out of the gate, the movie comes out of the gate a big success. These movies tend to have legs, like your average drama or comedy. A lot of those kind of are there of the time. They may be like a huge when they come out, but a few years from that now, who's going to remember the last Hey Vern movie? Whereas this this movie is going to have legs to it. Of course, you don't know which movies are going to still have relevance years from now, but the things that it covers and the ideas that it covers are so engaging now, and they were engaging back in '95 with the anime, and they're engaging now, and I can see it still being, still being engaging, 10 years from now. As we get closer to these things being a reality, these ideas, and then you gotta remember Blade Runner was a flop when it came out. So, and through time, it just became more and more popular to the point where it got a sequel. The sequel didn't do well. 2017 had some banger movies like Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner 2049, but neither of them did very well. So,
well, I think that it kind of goes back to if you are a Scarlett Johansson fan, you're gonna love this more than not. If you are a cyberpunk type sci-fi nerd, you're gonna love this. Like it has its moments, and it works very well for what it is. It is such a different take on other genres that don't quite hit the mark. So I cannot find fault with this. No matter what I try. It just wasn't, just only did 40 million in the US. So, that's just not a recipe for success, but I agree. I think it'll grow in time. I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, it got us talking about it in 2025. So, hey, and if you're watching right now, you were invested in this movie enough to hang through us two talking heads blab about it for about an hour. So, hey, there you go.
Yeah,
and
strong recommend for sure. But go ahead.
Yep. And I was just going to say, this is our first salvo in our talk of Cyberpunk. Hopefully, you'll be back next week for our next big movie. If I have my druthers, it's going to be a bit of a crazy one. So get ready. Maybe a little bit more obscure, a little bit kind of a crazier movie, but hey.
Yeah, I think this was a good first shot for us for this month, and I look forward to next month. And I think we're wrapping up here. Yeah, anything else to add?
No, it's like I said, it's one of those movies that kind of I thought was going to be just an okay movie that may not even be okay. That turned out to be one of my favorite sci-fis.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely, was a surprise. I've been Mike,
and I'm Tom. See ya.
Proof.